Golf Central, brought to you by Callaway Golf.
Amy Rogers alongside Brandel Chambly and Paige McKenzie. Have you ever seen anything quite like this?
Well, this is why live sports is appointment TV. You had to see that to believe it. Matter of fact, I saw it and I still don't believe it. I don't think even the most creative of sports writers could have written a scenario like this. I don't think the most creative writers in general could have written this. I don't think Aaron Sorkin could have written an Aaron Rai win. I'm not much of a gambler, but I'm told when Max Greyserman was standing on 15T, he was minus 5,000 to win, which roughly means if you wanted to win $100, you had to beat, and you know this because you are a gambling expert, you would have to bet $5,000 to have won $100. You know, we hear all the time about how hard it is to win, but if the last 2 weeks of the Olympics and this week doesn't convince you that it is hard to close out championships, tournaments, nothing will.
No, it was extraordinary. And by that, I mean it's extraordinary, not something that you typically see. In fact, you wouldn't often say an eagle derailed somebody's round. And I think truly that eagle hole out was so rattling to stand up on the next tee and then hit it out of bounds. You could easily say that was actually the shot that caused the most discomfort for him, because he obviously got out of the element, maybe thought a little too far ahead, but you wouldn't have expected any of what we saw in that closing stretch to have happened.
It was a lot of golf today. They had to come back. They had to play 36 holes. So what? He's 32 holes into his day. He was playing great golf to this point. Yeah. What changed?
Well, I think, first of all, it was a bad break. This is had a Jean Van de Velde feel to it. People will always go back and say, I couldn't believe what Jean Van de Velde did. The second shot that Jean Van de Velde hit in that famous collapse was one of the most unlucky breaks I've ever seen. You know, it hit a railing that was about this wide, bounced back across that burn. When Max hit his tee shot on 15, it landed on the cart path and bounced, you know, much farther forward than it otherwise would have, and it was out of bounds by this far. And then he compounds that bad break by a mental mistake, having driven it in the left rough with his, I guess, provisional ball, then lays up into the bunker and compounds the error. So that was on top of a bad break, just like Jean Van de Velde. On top of a bad break, when it bounced back across the burn, Van de Velde then loses his mind, chips it into the burn. Max, similarly, loses his train of thought and hits it into the bunker, and from there makes the quadruple bogey.
What was interesting about that exchange and watching that happen is that throughout the day, there were moments where you felt like Max was going to get off tempo, that because it was a slow round and he's a quick player, the announcers kept saying that all day, and you saw him on the second hole. He was teeing it up before the caddies even had walked to the tee. He was ready and always prepared to hit. The fifth hole, the same thing happened, where it was a long wait after a missed short putt on the fourth, and you thought, okay, how's he going to recover from this? And in every instance, he recovered, and you felt like, okay, he's mentally prepared for the moment that's coming in front of him. There was something about how he handled all of that that I think exposed the weakness, perhaps, in his readiness to win.
Well, we can speculate all we want, but we can hear now directly from Max Greyserman, who was speaking with the media in Greensboro.
So, I guess.
Hey, Kevin.
Hello, Max. What's, I guess, for lack of a better question, going through your mind right now? Kind of wild week, solo second, but just a little bit short.
Yeah, played really, really well this week. Played good enough to kind of run away with it, obviously. Stuff happens in golf that sometimes it's not meant to be sometimes, and I'm just going to walk away that I played really, really good golf, executed really well, had probably a four or five shot lead. I don't even know what, 4-shot lead. Had a 4-shot lead with 5 holes to go. With 5 holes, like, if you're doing that in a PGA Tour event, you're doing something exceptionally well. So that's what I'm going to walk away with. And also, you know, making that birdie right after making that 8. I mean, I'm going to walk away with that. And on the next hole, pin was caught on a lot of slope. Didn't really hit terrible putts late in the day. Lipped out, you know, stuff happens. But I'm just going to walk away with more confidence. Look at the positive things and learn from the mistakes.
Well, he said he's trying to be positive. We heard him crack some jokes. He seemed like he was in pretty good spirits given what happened. What did you take away from what Max had to say?
That's how you make it to the highest ranks in professional sports. Is you've got to be your own best friend. You got to take out of whatever there is to take out of it that is positive and learn from your mistakes. Bobby Jones famously said that he never learned one thing from a tournament that he won. He learned from his losses. And if you look at just the general trend of what's going on with Max over the last 4, 5, 6 golf tournaments that he played. We'll take a look at this improvement. You can see where he has, just in general, the finishes that he's had. At Rocket Mortgage, he finished 31st. The John Deere, he was 26th. The Scottish Open, he was 21st. Barracuda, he was 13th. 3M, he was second. And this week, he's second. Back-to-back second finishes. You look what he's doing off the tee. You can see a couple of first-place finishes there in terms of strokes gained off of the tee. He's clearly a marvelous driver of the golf ball. You look over there at the 3M, the last tournament that he played previous to this one, he was leading the field in strokes gained putting. So he does a lot of things really, really well. He drives the ball beautifully. He putts beautifully. His irons have sort of held him back from time to time. He hit some marvelous iron shots this week. But what did he do? He got into the top 50. He was 65th coming in here. He's now 47th. That gets him in all of the signature events. If you look at, he's 29 years old. He didn't set the world on fire at Duke. All he did was get a policy degree, get an economics degree. He was studying, so you can give him a little bit of break. He got better every single year on the Korn Ferry Tour. He dealt with some injuries, gets on the PGA Tour, and I would say this is one heck of a rookie performance. Yeah, he didn't get it done, but he learned a lot, and he showed us a lot with his game.
How good was that interview?
It was fantastic.
I mean, he had such incredible perspective so quickly and immediately walking off the green, but I think we saw that throughout the day, too. We saw his temperament throughout the day, staying pretty level and being able to make mostly good decisions outside of perhaps the layup on the 14th. But yeah, very impressive as it relates to taking away the positives from today.
So it's a first victory for Aaron Rai on the PGA Tour. He wins in Greensboro at the Wyndham Championship. As we mentioned, a bogey-free final round. After 3 top 10s in his last 4 starts, Aaron Rai gets the win, a 64 on that final day. And that roller coaster final round for Max Gman. He cards a 69 en route to his 2nd consecutive runner-up finish on the PGA Tour.
I never cease to be amazed by players sort of losing their mind. How many times we go back to Lorena Ochoa, as good a player as she was. You go back and watch the close of the 2005 U.S. Open where you played beautifully there. John Vandeveld, of course. You go back to Phil Mickelson, 2006 U.S. Open. Again, nobody's exempt from these kind of mistakes. I don't know if you can recall it. Look, I had a 6-shot lead once with 3 holes to go in the Western Am qualifying, a 6-shot lead, and I lost. You cannot lose a 6-shot lead with 3 to go, but I did. I'm familiar with it. I've seen it happen in the 20-some-odd years I've been doing this. I saw what happened today. I've seen it happen no less than a dozen times, and it'll continue to happen. It's a tough thing to do. This is why we applaud people who go to the last day with a lead, who've never been there before, and punch it through and win, because it is so hard to win, and it is so hard to be in the same frame of mind that you were in building that lead, that you arrive there and play that way on Sunday.
Yeah, when it actually means more, you've got to treat it like it means less. And that is an impossibility when you worked your entire life for something. So you can't, I don't want to say you can't blame somebody, but you certainly can empathize with a player that can't finish it that one time. And hopefully we'll see many more times that Max will put himself in position to get it done. But it is a learning experience to get to that point.
It's already the 2nd time in 2 starts that he's put himself in this position, 2 different routes to it. He'll no doubt, just seeing the perspective we saw for him, take so much away from being in this position.
He gets to play next week.
He gets to give it another try, and put whatever lessons he learned into play. Well, Aaron Rai hung around on a roller coaster Sunday, putting himself in great position as a wild final round unfolded. He becomes a first-time winner on the PGA Tour.